Can you give me a quick difference between what a magistrate is and a judge?
Yes. They have the same powers. A magistrate is appointed rather than elected or selected by the governor, if you will. The magistrates, I'll just tell you what I know about the civil division. We used to, when I first got there, we were approving everything that small claims magistrates did, and it was just tedious and time consuming. We decided not to do that. There have been times in probate part of our practice where I have signed off on what my magistrate Hauk has done, but we don't generally do that. But they conduct hearings in the criminal division. They actually, over misdemeanor traffic court, they conduct trials. They make decisions on who's guilty or not guilty. They sentence people. They know, and the magistrates in criminal division do the same thing over at the courthouse on felonies. Our civil the magistrates generally are, as I said, appointed. When we hired 2 new magistrates in small claims court, the 4 civil judges sat down and we interviewed them, and we appointed one. Judge Heath selected a new magistrate, Dan Pappas, I think last year, and it was an application process. Number of lawyers applied. Their pay is a little different. They're paid like 90% of what a judge gets, which is still a pretty substantial amount of money. And until about 2 years ago, their retirement system was different. Their retirement was under the Public Employees Retirement Fund, or PERF, and as of about 2 years ago, they switched into the judicial pension, the judge's pension, and they were able to, if they had money accumulated in PERF, buy years to go into their retirement. So they will retire in the same fashion that we do, so their financial position has been enhanced that way, and we have a very good retirement plan. And when you retire now, there's like 2 or 3 different retirements. One is the 1985 plan. That means everybody's been a judge since 1985. And we now, the retirees in that plan, that would be me when I retire, you get a COLA, cost of living. When the judges get a percentage raise, the retirees get a raise. It's a pretty nice thing for people that stay retired for a long time. I pray to God I retire at some point and live for a long time to enjoy our retirement benefits. But it's a very decent retirement. You vest after 12 years, which means I'm vested, and you vest at 50%, and each year you get an additional 1% that you're there. I don't even know what percentage I'm at now, but at 56% or something like that. 54%, I think. And the reason I know this is that you can only get 10% more. And I thought about this the other day. If let's change that, when I get reelected instead of if. When I get reelected, if I serve for 6 more years, I will have 22 years, and then at 22%, at 22 years you get 60% of your pension. There isn't going to be a 23rd year, folks. I mean, I would say comically that when I'm elected, I'll only run one more time, but I'm not going to run one more time. So I will just coincidentally, not by any design, reach the maximum vesting. So any year after 22 years, and there are judges on the bench who get 24 years, you don't get any more pension. Obviously, you get increases in salary, etc. So it has worked. I've been fortunate enough to have been a judge when we have gotten substantial adjustments to our salary. Because when I started out, I mean, I can't do it on a percentage mentally, but we've had a substantial increases. And we would fight with the legislators, state legislature, about giving us raises or salary adjustments, as we euphemistically call them, but they're raises. And finally, I said I was involved in the Indiana Judge Association. We have lobbyists. It should be no surprise to the world that judges, like everybody else, has lobbyists. That's the world in which we live. And we finally were able to negotiate with the legislators two things. Well, actually one important thing, and that is that instead of quibbling about what kind of raise we get, what we have done, and it's by statute, when the highest paid state employee gets a raise, we get a raise. And we get the same raise. Each governor does it differently. The Governor Pence recently, for last year, gave a bonus that wasn't a raise. And Justice Dixon was then Chief Justice, negotiated something, so we got the bonus as well. Now, it didn't change our base pay, and therefore the retirees didn't get the benefit of that, but he negotiated that for us. So we're in a good position. The other thing, the legislators, I give them credit for these legislators who fought us tooth and nail on raising judges' pay, came up with after they did all that for us, they came up with a system where when we get a pay raise, the legislators get a pay raise. They don't have to raise themselves. So there's an incentive for them to approve our pay raises because they get the same percentage. And none of them are in it for the huge salary, as you know. They get a relatively modest salary. They get a lot of expenses paid. But that's what's happened over the years, and I suspect that's the reason that you'll see people running for judge, because when I became a judge, I was 60 years old. And in order for me to have accumulated in retirement the amount that would throw off what my retirement would be if I quit today or I didn't win the election, I would have to have put away in the last 16 years, many millions of dollars. And God knows what would have happened to that in 2008. So it's fortunate. And that's the way it should be. I think, I would honestly say that I know what lawyers make. And a good lawyer, and I was a good lawyer, makes more money than I'm making now. But we're not in it for the money. I mean, it's nice that we're paid well, and I'm happy that I'm paid well. And my lifestyle is a little better than it was when my salary was $45,000 less. So I've had probably maybe close to 50%, maybe 45 to 50% increase over the last 16 years. I benefited from that, and I'm happy for it. But again, it's not what a good lawyer can make. But I think we should be paid fairly. I don't think we're not getting an outrageous sum of money. But you want to attract quality people who don't have to take such a drop in their income. I took a drop when I became a judge. But you want to attract good lawyers, female or male, who want to serve the community and don't have to be penalized. They don't have to scrape by. And look, be honest with you. I made close to $90,000 when I started. That's not a small sum of money. It's a large sum of money. But compared to what I was making, it was not. It's much, and I'm not gloating. There are people who make a lot less money than I do, but they don't have the education and experience, and you know, I wouldn't, and I don't begrudge anybody in a profession making as much money as they can, and I know what doctors make because I represented some doctors and doctors' wives in divorces, and that was years ago. God bless them. Let them make all they want, because when, God forbid, I have to have heart surgery or a knee replaced, or a back problem or something, I want somebody that knows what they're doing. I don't want somebody that, now it doesn't mean that if they get out of medical school they don't know what they're doing, because they're trained too. But I don't begrudge anybody in this world, whether they're doctors, whether they're in business. That's what America's about. If you have the ingenuity, make money. I don't begrudge it at all.
Well, unfortunately, we're out of time. We're right up against it. But we really appreciate your time today. And we've had a good time talking with you and learning a little bit more about the civil division than we knew before. And we wish you well in November, sir.
Thank you. And you know, I've enjoyed talking to you. I like to talk to the civic groups. I like to talk to kids in school and tell them that life on the bench is not what they see on television. And I hope you learned something. I learned something about you, and I hope you've learned something as well. And I appreciate the opportunity to have had this talk with you. And thank you very much for allowing me to do it.
Yes, sir. And best of luck in November.
Thank you very much.